Picking up from yesterday, today's proceedings further explored how Najib Razak had used his powers as both finance minister and prime minister to give himself sweeping powers and control as advisor emeritus over SRC International. SRC's former chairman and witness number 39, Ismee Ismail's testimony seemed to suggest that Najib was the brains behind the whole operation. The company's CEO, Nik Faisal Arif Kamil, had a direct line to the former PM, and the suggestions he brought were implemented by the board. By the Malaysian Insight, this is The People versus Najib Razak. Follow us into the courtroom where it all happens. I'm Patrick Teo. Yesterday, Najib arrived in court to find traditionally dressed supporters waiting to offer him Hari Raya greetings at the court lobby. The former Prime Minister had looked happy to see his fans, smiling broadly and shaking hands with them. Today, as he stepped out of his car, the courtroom was quiet, with no one waiting to greet him. Najib and his aides walked unobtrusively up to the fifth-floor courtroom where the SRC International case is being heard and waited for proceedings to begin. Dressed in a grey suit matched with a similarly hued tie today, Najib sat at his usual spot on the left side of the dock. He brought with him a thick book titled The Laws of Human Nature, authored by Robert Greene, a 624-pager discussing people's drives and motivations. But it was soon set aside. Proceedings began as soon as lead counsel Shafi Abdullah arrived. Former SRC Director Ismee was back on the stand for the second day. Yesterday, he told the court that he had resigned from his SRC post in 2014 as he did not agree with the way its CEO Nik Faisal Arif Kamil, who is now missing, ran the company accounts and finances. He had also told the court that Najib had approved the deposit of some 1.8 billion ringgit out of the 2 billion ringgit loan SRC had gotten from KWAP into overseas accounts, namely Switzerland and Hong Kong banks. He said this was recorded in the minutes of a meeting between Najib and Nik Faisal on September 7, 2011. Najib's lawyer Havinderjit Singh, or Harvey, had tried to discredit that claim, saying that the minutes had been fabricated. Judge Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali had ruled the document as inadmissible for evidence until it can be verified by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission. Yvonne will tell us more.
Ismee spoke louder today. Yesterday, Shafi'i was so exasperated over the witness's barely audible tone that he reminded the court that it was important that everyone, especially Najib, could hear the proceedings clearly. The lawyer shocked the court when he said that Najib was the most important person in the room, even more important than the lawyers or the judge. It worked though. Today, the sharply dressed Ismee's answers rang loud and clear as he answered Harvey's questions about how meeting minutes were handled and then about Ismee's own work experiences. After that, Harvey pulled out a copy of the Companies Act and dived into details of the Act with the witness. At the back of the room, Najib slouched in his seat in the dock, expressionless as he watched the proceedings. Another hour went by, and then the court took a 10-minute break. The former PM made a beeline for the door. He went straight down to the basement canteen for a cup of coffee.
Back from the break, Harvey resumed his cross-examination of Ismee, now asking him about the technicalities of convening a shareholders' meeting and tabling resolutions. Yesterday, the witness told the court that after SRC's ownership was transferred from 1MDB to the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, or MOF Inc. in February 2012, Najib, who was the sole shareholder of MOF Inc. and in his capacity as finance minister, tabled a resolution to add an additional clause into SRC's Memorandum and Articles of Association. The clause appointed the Prime Minister, Najib at the time, as Advisor Emeritus to SRC, which gave him powers to advise the company's board on material matters and matters of strategic interest to Malaysia. It also obliges the board to consider and implement any advice of the Advisor Emeritus in the best interest of the country. Basically, Najib gave himself a lot of power, and the board of directors were obliged to listen to him. Here's Yvonne again.
Ismee said that he wasn't aware that when SRC became incorporated, 1MDB was not a shareholder. Rather, the company's shareholders were Nick Faisal and its investment director, Vincent Beng Huat Koh. 1MDB and SRC had initially shared the same company secretary who had failed to inform the 1MDB board of the new shareholders. Another interesting factoid, fugitive businessman Joe Low's auntie, that is his mom's sister, later took over the secretary role in SRC. The witness said that as far as 1MDB's board was concerned, Nick Faisal was never authorized to incorporate SRC. Yesterday, Ismee had testified that during his time as SRC's chairman, whenever he had questioned Nick Faisal's decisions, he always got the reply that it was government-backed, and he said that he had equated the term government with Najib. Harvey continued to grill Ismee about the appointment of SRC's directors, but kept cutting him off whenever Ismee insisted that Najib, as Prime Minister at the time, had made the appointments by resolution. Eventually, Prosecutor Sitambaram stood up to object to a defense lawyer's line of questioning, and Judge Nazlan ordered Harvey to let the witness answer the questions without interjecting. The judge then called for a lunch break, and Najib left the court complex in a black sedan that was waiting for him.
At 2:30 p.m., court resumed with Ismee back on the stand. Harvey asked him to clarify the part of his witness statement where he had said that as SRC chairman, he followed the instructions of the shareholders. The former maintained his testimony, saying that he, quote, followed the instruction of the Prime Minister, who is also Advisor Emeritus of SRC, who is also the Finance Minister, who owns MOF Inc., unquote. However, he admitted that the SRC board was never sought to verify whether Nick Faisal was acting as a link to Najib. Harvey then went on into details of the powers held by SRC shareholders and board, which are spelt out in its Memorandum and Articles of Association. This went on until court adjourned for the day at 5:25 p.m. Ismee will be back for his third day on the stand tomorrow at 9 a.m. This podcast is produced, written and mixed by Revati Subramaniam, Yap Pik Kwan, Yvonne Lim and Ravin Palanisamy. Additional reporting, Timothy Acharyam. I'm Patrick Teo.